Belarus, officially the Republic of Belarus, holds a unique spot on the European map. For decades, it was one of the republics that made up the Soviet Union. That past still shapes its identity. Let's place it. To the west, Poland. To the north, Lithuania and Latvia. To the south and east, Ukraine and Russia. Landlocked, it covers 207,600 square kilometers and is home to about 9.5 million people. The terrain is mostly flat, with vast marshlands, and water is everywhere. Almost 40% of the country is covered by forests and lakes. These natural features help explain ways of life and trade routes. Over the centuries, control of these lands changed hands many times. Between empires and neighboring states, Russia, Poland, and Austria, the territory was partitioned, contested, and reorganized. In World War I came the German occupation. With Germany's defeat, Poland took parts of the West. Later, under the Soviet Union, Belarus joined the bloc with the borders then in place. In 1991, with the Soviet breakup, the country became independent. But ties with Moscow stayed strong and show up in language and religion. The mostly Orthodox population, over 80%, shares references with Russians, a trait that contrasts with many parts of Europe where Catholicism prevails. At this crossroads of history, geography, and bonds, Belarus positions itself today and leaves questions about what comes next. Belarus presents itself as a country in transition, with doors increasingly open. Getting there is simple. There are regular flights to Minsk, the main air hub. For many travelers, entry is visa-free, which cuts down on red tape and costs. Still, a few rules deserve attention. Anyone staying more than 5 days must register their lodging, and all tourists need to buy health insurance, since the public system doesn't cover visitors' medical expenses. Plans to work or settle down call for different prep. Applications go through embassies or consulates with prior review and approval. Long-term stays depend on authorization. That usually comes through marriage to a Belarusian citizen or a job offer from a local company, which enables a residence visa. Day-to-day, the country offers an active leisure scene, but the weather sets the pace. Winters are long and harsh. January can see temperatures below -20 degrees Celsius. That's why many people choose to visit in spring or in September, when the streets get livelier and outdoor life returns to the calendar. To understand daily life, it's worth starting with the economy. The currency is the Belarusian ruble. The minimum wage is around $135, about 340 rubles, one of the lowest in the world. Even so, a good part of the population earns above that floor, which helps paint a broader picture we'll explore next. Living in Belarus has its own math. After taxes, the most common take-home pay is around $400. With that budget, every grocery run turns into a planning exercise. Fruits and vegetables rarely go for less than 10 rubles per kilo, about $3, an elevated price because much of it comes from warmer regions. The standout comparison is simple. For the same price as 1 kilogram of eggplant, you can get 1 kilogram of ground beef or chicken breast. For meat lovers, the choice tilts toward the butcher counter and reshapes the month's diet. Thinking of moving? The first step is bracing for a budget adjustment. Landing a job between $400 and $500, roughly 1,500 rubles, is usually the starting point. Even so, staying comfortable isn't easy when rent for an apartment is rarely under $400. Add about $50 a month for electricity and water and the month gets tight, demanding price comparisons, bulk buys, and cutting non-essentials. A year ago, those same places cost about half. The jump tracks with the tension between Ukraine and Russia, which increased demand for housing in the country and pushed prices up. Another key detail: many buildings are 20 to 30 years old. That affects elevators, plumbing, insulation, and of course what you can expect from the neighborhood and day-to-day comfort. And in a sentence, Belarus is a place where modern infrastructure lives alongside a more traditional style of governance. The rules are there and can surprise you, especially if you have pets. If you're planning to build a routine there, it's worth weighing every ruble carefully before taking the next step. When people talk about Belarus, the first image is of wide lakes and green spaces. What keeps that scene orderly are strict rules. There are parks where walking dogs, biking, or drinking alcohol and smoking are prohibited. Even common gestures like eating sunflower seeds on a bench can draw the attention of plainclothes authorities. The effect is immediate: clean parks and streets, almost no trash. That order contrasts with the strain on the budget. With a monthly income between $400 and $500, many people barely cover rent and groceries. What's left for leisure, clothes, or electronics is little. On the everyday table, quick options prevail: pastas and baked goods that resemble pizza. For those following Muslim dietary rules, it's essential to check labels. Most meat dishes include pork. The language barrier exists, but it's not insurmountable. Even with Little Russian or Belarusian, basic English gets you through shopping, simple orders, and getting around. And here's a surprising detail: raw fish shows up often on menus. Sushi isn't rare. It's in malls, snack bars, and delivery. For anyone thinking of living there, that culinary shift becomes routine. In the business world, though, it's another story. The country isn't very open to capitalism, which narrows margins and makes profitable ventures a tough mission. Between rules that keep things clean and economic limitations, daily life plays out in that balance, and there's more to unfold ahead. Arriving in Belarus calls for a shift in taste and tempo. In traditional restaurants, the bill for a simple meal easily tops $10, and a basic dish like soup can take half an hour to reach the table. Short menus, small kitchens, and a line out the door are common at the most popular spots, so it's worth going in knowing that hurry stays outside. That wait isn't neglect, it's part of the local pace, and those who slow down enjoy the experience more. Etiquette changes the game too. Direct criticism of the Belarusian way of life doesn't go over well. What's expected is respectful words and courteous gestures, and in the end, a tip around 10% of the bill, preferably in cash when possible. On the street, the scene tells a story. Trams and old Ladas share space with newer models, a reminder that the country is still developing and the past still chats with the present on every corner. Pay attention to who keeps the economy moving day to day. Women have a strong presence in the workforce, something that's obvious in the markets. Stalls, registers, and counters run by them. Among seasonal fruits, dark breads, cheeses, and preserves, there's constant movement and quiet efficiency. And here's a heads up that avoids awkwardness. Haggling isn't well received. Prices are stated plainly, and sellers expect the same straightforwardness from customers. Many Belarusians, especially working-age men, look for jobs outside the country, in other parts of Europe or in Russia, because local wages fall short of the cost of living. When they land work, remittances become part of the budget for families who stay in Belarus. This long-running movement changes the demographic picture. In many cities, you'll notice more women than men in daily life, which impacts relationships and social dynamics. In everyday interactions, first impressions often mislead. Men can seem more reserved, discreet, focused on their own circle. Women tend to start conversations more easily. Once the ice breaks, both show hospitality and a direct way of handling practical matters. An invite for coffee, a tip on transportation, help with the language. There's also an openness to visitors. Foreigners report it's easy to strike up a chat in parks, markets, and bars, with mutual curiosity and a willingness to swap contacts. The well-kept urban scene and preserved green areas reinforce that feeling, even if strict rules and relatively high prices demand planning. For those thinking of visiting, there's a big plus: visa-free entry for many travelers on specific routes, which reduces bureaucracy and speeds up decisions. Thanks for sticking around till the end. If this chat about Belarus helped you out, hit the like button because it helps push the video to more people. Want to keep going on this journey? Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episodes. I want to hear from you. Would you visit Belarus? What caught your attention the most? The way people socialize, the costs, the easy entry? Tell me in the comments. I read everything and reply to as many as I can. If you know someone who loves culture, travel, or fun facts about Eastern Europe, share this video with them. And save it to your playlist to watch again when you're putting together your itinerary. Thanks for the company. We'll see each other in the next one.